I think because when we are making films like the way that independent film industry is, it comes with a lot of ups and downs. For every success that you all see, we have 5 rejections in my email. As I grew older, I felt that I was a bit judgmental towards older women. And then as I grew older, I felt myself having that judgment towards younger women. We are so taught to be judgy towards each other, and it's such a part of our patriarchal setup that even if you don't want to, it's like brainwash in our head. So for me, the 2 characters were a representation of my 2 halves in some way, of always negotiating morality and the setup that we have in our country a lot. I think that people are really open to cinema. It's just that we don't have releases. It's really hard for people.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. You know, I for one am extremely thrilled to be talking to Payal again, because the last time we met it was just a congratulations for Cannes. I can't just say just, of course it's a big feat, but today we're back here again to congratulate you on
Golden Globes,
guys. So yeah, one
Thank
big feat after another.
Thank you.
So before we do talk so much about the triumphs, her challenges, her journey as a filmmaker, I want to ask you, when you think of your days right here in this college and today you return as a filmmaker who's creating history, you know, what are some of the memories that kind of flash back?
This room
was
so important to us. We were open to the world of world cinema over here. I remember even Indian cinema. I think it's just like this space and the environment to talk about films got me much more intrigued and into cinema in the first place.
Would it be right to say that this space has been instrumental in kind of helping you progress in your creative journey as a filmmaker?
Absolutely. I knew nothing before I came. I wanted to do film when I was in Xavier's also. I used to watch films. I was a cinephile. I used to go to all the film festivals, and you know, that is different.
Yeah.
But when you have to actually make a film, what is a shot, what is a counter shot, how you put the tripod, all these physical things, we used to have practicals right here in this room.
You know, when we watched the audiovisual here, which they very kindly put together for you, I thought it was so heartwarming,
really
right?
Nice, yeah.
Everyone said one thing which was common, which was they knew that you were setting out to do great things.
They're my friends, yeah.
But okay, they're not all your friends. Do you guys agree? You agree with them, right? Did you ever, for one thing, that this is where I would reach, this is how my life would unfold?
No. I think because when we are making films like the way that independent film industry is, it comes with a lot of ups and downs. For every success that you all see, we have 5 rejections in my email that we don't put out on Facebook and say, hey, I got rejected. For every filmmaker out there are those as well. And that's part of life.
Yeah.
So you just try to go one step at a time and see how you can make a film that you want to make.
The last time I met Kani for an interview for Girls Will Be Girls, and I was talking to her about all the love your film has gotten. She was telling me that, you know, Payal came to me with this film about 8 years back, right? Yeah. And she sat with this film for 8 years. I really want to know, how does one have that kind of faith and perseverance to love something so much and sit with it? Did you ever for a moment think, I don't know what the fate's going to be?
We really thought at some point that, chalo, let's do something else, because we were not getting the funding. COVID time actually, when all the funds had kind of dried up, and we felt that what the hell are we doing? Like it was, that feeling is there. I mean, I think you have to stick to something. Otherwise, this flitting between projects, it just, then I don't know. For me, that's, I think filmmaking is like long distance running. You have to keep at it, and you might get tired on the way, but you have to run slowly then and then.
And here we are sprinting towards the finish line. Or maybe the start line, if I can say, right? So because
who knows
lots
what
more
the
to
future
come.
holds. For us, this film has given us so much that we didn't expect, and I'm really thankful.
If I had to ask you a few takeaways or a few lessons that, you know, you've kind of taken away from working on this film and holding this film so close to your heart for 8 years, what would they be?
I think collaboration is one thing that I really gained from in this process, and that's something I think I got from SCM also, that we used to work in groups, and those groups, everybody used to be so opinionated and so charged up, and we at points wanted to kill each other. But I think that friction also brings new ideas. And if you don't have people who challenge what you're thinking, then you will just be doing the same thing again and again. I feel like everybody brought so much into the film. We made the film really blue, right? Yeah. They came one day with 36 swatches of blue. I was like, oh, there are so many of them. And then we were like examining which one will do which one should we put on the wall. So everybody really thought of it as their film, not like a not like a job, you know. And the actors also, they made the characters their own. They added dialogues, they added gestures. It's not always the case that you get to work with people like that.
Payal, every time we watch a film, and you know, I have conversations with filmmakers either pre or post, and having done this for very long, I feel that the films are always sort of an extension of the filmmaker in some way or the other. What are the parts of this film that you kind of resonate with, and how did you infuse your own personal experiences into the film?
The younger nurse, Anu, I was closer to that age when I started writing. Then at the end of the film, I was closer to Prabha's age when I finished. I used to be more looking at the film through Anu's age when I was younger. And as I grew older, I felt that I was a bit judgmental towards older women. And then as I grew older, I felt myself having that judgment towards younger women. And I thought to myself, why am I being like this? Where is it coming from? And we are so taught to be judgy towards each other, and it's such a part of our patriarchal setup that even if you don't want to, it's like brainwash in our head. It was a kind of a self-reflexive issue that I had, that I felt I needed to deal with and be better at. So for me, the two characters were a representation of my two halves in some way, of always negotiating morality and the setup that we have in our country a lot, but it's all over the world, women and insecurity. It's like capitalism really feeds on it well. I was also thinking a lot about like the men in this film. The first woman you see in the film, the one who tells that her husband's ghost is coming, that was based on my grandmother. So when she was in her 90s, she started losing her memory. So I told her to be like, you know, to keep it memory alive and fresh, you should write a diary. So my sweet grandmother complied and said, okay. And every day she was writing diary. And she said she would let me read it and all. It was not a secret diary. So then in that she would have visits. She said that, oh, this husband is coming. I can smell this tobacco. Why he's coming again. Now the thing is, my grandmother was 98. Her husband died when she was 55. That means she was single for how many years? And still the guy is coming to her. So I was thinking a lot about these ghosts of these men who we don't want also, but they don't go. So, and she didn't even like him much. It's not like some great romantic love. She was a bit annoyed. That is one thing that I wanted to make this film about, that you know, the women in this film are really independent. They are financially independent. They don't live at home. Like, so all the men who are causing these problems are not on screen. Only the cute ones are there. So those are some of the things from my personal life.
But do you remember something that you really changed towards the end of that 8 years that you've written back then? You said, no, this just doesn't sound like me today.
I think it was overall the persona of Prabha. The way I had written her, she was even more timid. As I met Kani, as I also grew older, I felt that, you know, there has to be that fight between her trying to assert herself and also kind of judging herself, because I started feeling more like that I would sometimes censor myself or, you know, be like, oh God, what will people think? But I also was somebody who wanted to have authority. So I think that negotiation, I changed a bit in Prabha's character.
I think I find myself struggling with it. Are there more people who find themselves struggling with that? I definitely do. But I guess that's a constant battle and a conversation you need to keep having to kind of get rid of that conditioning that you need to be a certain way. So it's not a bad thing to sit with the script for so long. Look at the result, right?
It.
If it takes you all 8 years, it's okay, guys. You might just be sitting like Payal here someday.
I mean, in the middle, I made another film also.
Yeah, of course. That, of course. But you can stay true to what you want to make eventually. You know, the other thing that I want to talk to you about, there's so much chatter and conversation about women and how they are portrayed on screen. What did you do differently in this film to kind of make sure that you're not going that way, and you do not want women to kind of adhere to what they are being told what they should look like or what they should be doing to kind of please a society that we're living in?
I think the representation that we have of women, especially advertising and everything, it's so kind of one directional kind of gaze. The way women are portrayed in our larger media culture is like a kind of a gaze which is male at the end of the day. I mean, we didn't really think about it like, oh, not to do this or that, but I think all of us were in a zone that we just wanted to be as we are. Like, I don't take off my hair. So I was like, and even the actresses were not doing. So we were like, okay, jo hai, so hai. So we didn't do anything like that different to change from how we are as in regular life. And it was also about like, whose gaze is it in the film? So if it is Anu's story, it's her gaze. So she will take off her shirt when she wants to take off her shirt, not when we want her to.
You know, for many years, in fact, we've seen that independent filmmakers have been getting so much international acclaim. You know, every film festival that they go to, they've been loved. The films are being loved, right? Do you see that the audience back here is perceiving independent films differently? Have you seen a shift?
I think that people are really open to cinema. It's just that we don't have releases. It's really hard for people because I've gone to film festivals and I've seen the lines there. Like people stand at 9 a.m. to watch a 10 a.m. film, and that is the passion. People are truly cinephiles in our country. There should be diversity in film also. No, there can be all kinds of films should exist, and you can watch all of them, and you like this, you don't like that, it's fine. But at least that option should be there. So for me, I think it's a question of exhibitors and distributors taking some chances.
And the fact that your film is going to be here at least till the end of this month and hopefully longer, right? It's a big milestone in itself.
I'm really kicked about it.
Yeah, it's so great. So can we just also hear it for that, guys? It's really a big deal.
And for our distributors who's working so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go and before I open the floor for questions for the audience, what is that one thing that you would like to tell anybody who's an aspiring filmmaker? You know, because of the journey that you've had, especially if they're planning to go independent.
Oh, too many things.
Yeah.
One thing that I learned, and it was kind of discipline that we got from SCM as well, to meet your deadlines, to kind of don't wait till last minute things, or at least think about what you're doing, because that exercise is for your growth. It's not like randomly one teacher is deciding. And I had the same thing when I was in FTI, because we had so many assignments, so many exercises, and we would all be saying, oh my God, I can't do this. And actually when you give in to it and you do the exercise, you actually learn something from it. When I was a student in FTI, it was a time we were moving from film to digital. What was happening was that still the teaching methodology was more film related, not yet gone to digital. So when we had to make our documentary project, we would only get like a limited card capacity and only 6 days or something of shoot. Which means, you know, in documentary, how you want to go, you want to shoot a lot, you'll come back and edit it. No, all this could not happen. I wanted to shoot in this reserve forest in Bhima Shankar. I could not take the camera before for my research or anything. So what to do? So I took a sound recording device and I recorded a lot of sound. And finally the film came from those sounds. Like I shot a whole film which was just rubbish. So then I said, okay, let me listen to this audio that I collected. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have this restriction. So sometimes I think that we need restrictions to make us think in a way that we wouldn't have ordinarily thought. That is something that you gain from student life. And unfortunately or fortunately, it will continue into being an independent filmmaker, because you'll have to continuously change. You know, the first day of our shoot, our first location got cancelled for 3 days. So what do you do, you know? So you have to be on your, like, all the time rethinking things.
So to start with, just meet your deadlines, guys. You could be sitting here tomorrow, okay?
I mean, finish the assignment is what I'm saying.
Finish the assignment,
like,
yes.
Something, even if it's like you gain something from it.
Does anybody have questions for her?
Hi Payal, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you take us through your funding journey? How did you manage to get funds for this film?
I didn't want to get any private funding for this film. I was very keen that it is a kind of funding which has no strings attached in what I could and could not do, which gave me a lot of freedom. So I had two sets of main producers, one in India and one in France. And they are producers, the French ones, who I met when I was a student. They had liked my short film. So they had written to me saying, hello, I like your short film. So I said, okay, let's meet. And so I did a program which any of you all can apply to. It's called the Berlinale Talents. It's like a seminar kind of thing where you go for 10 days during the Berlin Film Festival. And you know, you meet people there, you meet young producers, you meet other directors. Gentleman who had written to me was also there. So we ended up spending 10 days together, and I think the way you really get to know somebody is that you watch films together, and if you have the same taste. And fortunately we did. So we decided to work together. In the West, the producer's role is more like a creative as well as a person who is organizing things, but also finding you funding. They don't put their own money into the film.
I really love the film, hence
Thank you.
I wanted to know about the ending of the film. The last part where the closing image, where all three of them are sitting and this guy is getting introduced by Anu. And it seems like they're a family, but throughout the film you like maintain that narrative that they're not looking for one another's approval or that kind of connection with one another. And there's this kid dancing in the dhaba, I think, behind. So what was the thought behind it?
This family that we tend to create when we move to a different place, the family is chosen a chosen
family,
family. And sometimes our families are great and they're supportive, but sometimes they are not. and then we can make our own family. Sometimes it's like you have somebody new in your life, you want your friend's approval of it.
Yeah.
So you take them to meet your friend. I wanted to have that feeling that, you know, now this is Anu's support system is there. At least she doesn't have to hide from them.
Since the nomination, what do you think has appealed to global audiences about the film?
I don't know, I'm also baffled. I don't ask, I'm like, how good? I think some people find some resonance in the story of the friendship around the world. A lot of women have told me that, so I'm taking that. Maybe that's what it is.
Thank you so much, you guys, and thank you so much, Payal, for being
Thank
here.
you.
Congratulations and good luck for the Globes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much,
Thank
you
you,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you.